Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, for a while there, it felt almost as if the media was on a path towards reform. At least slight reform. Now, I never gave the media that credit, but there was certainly that interpretation. You know, it felt as though CNN was actually reporting real news for once. The mainstream media at large was finally telling the truth, and a lot of people wanted to give the media credit. Look, maybe we're headed towards a better news era. But of course, as we knew, and as I stated a million times, the media wasn't acting in good faith. It's not like they had an epiphany, and all of a sudden they decided that they were going to start telling the truth. No, it was a desperate, elitist-driven campaign to essentially drive Joe Biden out of the White House. They were only telling the truth because they were forced to tell the truth. They had no other choice. Things were looking so grim, so bad, that they just couldn't lie about it. They were stuck between a rock and a hard place. Obviously, the media hadn't reformed, and now really there's no more question, because it seems as though the literal moment they were actually able to achieve their task, their goal, which was to remove Joe Biden, well, instantaneously, the moment that happened, they reverted right back to their old ways. They just can't freaking help themselves. You know, they probably feel like they're in a position of strength at this point. Kamala Harris has totally changed the dynamic, at least that's what they're telling us, and so all of a sudden, non-stop 24/7 partisan fake news. We're back to the same old, the old dynamic, and my thought process here is that this dynamic almost always contributes to Trump's benefit, and we're already seeing that. The fake news leftist media is overstepping their boundaries and getting absolutely exposed across the board. It's just not a good look. Let's have a conversation about it. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I think I pretty much laid the context. We're back to 2016 media, and what does that mean? That means we're back to 2016 Trump, and that right there is exactly what we're getting.
Thank you, everybody, very much.
Thank you for coming. Kamala Harris campaign is attacking you for being in his town because they say there are white supremacists here a month ago. They're Democrats.
Who was here in 2021? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
You see exactly what I mean, right? I mean, the intro was long-winded a little bit, but I had to lay out the context for the clip, and now you guys certainly get it now, don't you? You know, Trump thrives on this stuff. The media's going right back to full-on Jim Acosta mode. Are you racist? Every frickin' press conference, every interview, and every now and then you have somebody who's totally not prepared, somebody who frankly is probably a little bit dumb and doesn't realize that they're essentially teeing up a ball for Trump to knock out of the frickin' park, and that's when we get these situations, and Trump just looks like an incredible badass. And you know, the media still hasn't learned its lesson. This right here is how you get Donald Trump elected. In fact, this is how you continue to alienate people to the Trump camp. Because when people are exposed to this and it really bothers them from an ethical perspective, well then they defect, they go on Trump's side, and they don't come back. Because why would they? You're clearly evil. Why would anybody want to be on the side of evil? You know, to lie in such destructive, divisive manner, it's truly evil. It can only really be described as such. The elite leftist journalist class has completely reverted to its old ways. And like I said earlier, it's really not a good look. And actually, you know, speaking of CNN earlier, I was talking about how the network had been perceived as slightly reformed. Now, obviously, you can't do that unless you move the CNN headquarters to a deep red small town or something. Obviously, you're not going to fix CNN overnight, but they did make one good change, and that one change was bringing on more conservatives into the CNN contributor circle. And like I keep saying, folks, it's just not a good look. These leftoids are getting exposed like I've never seen before. Take a look at this.
And when we talk about reproductive rights, I mean, we haven't been talking about it as much, but you know, it is an economic issue for a lot of women. It is also a personal, you know, bodily autonomy issue. And the importance of these stories we're going to hear tonight are a reminder of the danger and the harms to women and frankly to doctors that around some of this legislation. And it reminds people that Trump he will sign a national abortion ban. If he gets a MAGA, you know, majority in Congress, that is a real danger. And so it's an important message for Democrats.
Can you explain the algebra to me, how you get 60 votes for any abortion legislation in the U.S. Senate, no matter which party wins?
Can you explain to me how Republicans wouldn't try to pass a national abortion ban?
There is none. I mean, just be honest about this. There will be no federal legislation. And so it's a canard. It's not true.
Scott, if your message is, don't worry, we won't have the votes, that still sounds dangerous to women, because that says It's not that you agree with us or believe that our bodily autonomy matters. It's a math equation.
There aren't 60 votes. There aren't 50 votes for anything.
Well, I keep on hearing.
That was Karen Finney, former senior advisor to Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign, spewing absolute defamatory fake news and getting totally fact-checked. All they do is spread mistruths, and obviously, they're kicking everything right now into overdrive, but the media landscape has really adapted, it's really evolved, and I really just don't think they could get away with it like they used to. You know, ever since post-COVID, the world feels more terminally online than ever before, and that's a bad thing for the mainstream media. You know, so many people like myself have popped up over the years. There's so many people doing fact-checking. There's so many people exposing the media, exposing the Democrats. Elon Musk bought Twitter. It's now X. Now, all of a sudden, your feed is just filled with community note fact-checks, flashback videos, and hard-hitting leftist exposing clips like this, and it's creating this situation where people are having their eyes opened like never before. I mean, these clips are dropping one after another. That wasn't even the only brutal leftist fake news fact check of the night.
You're right. My demographic was not the target last night, and so I thought that was kind of interesting. And look, Daniel Dale wasn't around last night, so I think in terms of fact checking, just a couple quick fact checks. Here to provide Daniel Dale.
He's got his notebook.
The convention didn't run long, as the convention planner said, because of applause. Okay, this is factually not correct. It didn't run long because of applause. It ran long because of poor planning. Project 2025 is not the blueprint for the Trump campaign. When the state senator stood up there and said that, I'm like, are you kidding me? President Trump has stood on numerous platforms and said, I disavow this. It's at NPR. It's on this network.
But we got to fact check. The architect of that was on camera saying he was totally for it. And
the architect can say whatever he wants, but when the candidate stands up there, I think it's our obligation to say the Trump campaign is, and the candidate has disavowed this. The third thing is that Trump has said, repeatedly, I will not sign a federal ban on abortion. I will not sign it if it comes to me. I won't sign it. And Trump has always been for exceptions for life of the mother, rape, incest, the normal kind of things that every person in the abortion world has ever been for. And yet that was kind of implied. Joe Biden finally topped it all off with the lie of lies about Charlottesville that Snopes and everybody else has kind of said this isn't true. So those kind of things that kind of marred from a factual perspective. I think those have kind of should have been fact checked along the way because they just weren't true, and it kind of devolved. I think. If those things, the big things aren't true, what other things aren't true that are being said? So again, I'm not the audience. It was a red meat for the Democratic base.
Blue meat.
Excuse me. Correct. Yeah, red meat for the blue base, right?
These leftist narratives are getting destroyed. The reality is that a lot of people have kind of softened their view on Donald Trump. A lot of people don't view Donald Trump as this great existential threat. They might have bought into that narrative all those years ago, but nowadays, Trump's a known commodity. He's not a scary figure, but they're continuing to run with the same narratives, and obviously they're starting to approach the moment of diminishing returns. They're not getting the same political returns on their investments because they've cried wolf too many times. For Pete's sakes, how many times are people going to run with this very fine people hoax? It's unbelievable. They mentioned it at the DNC. Leftoids in the media keep repeating it. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris keep repeating it. For Pete's sakes, even Snopes recently fact-checked this talking point, I think back in June of this year. Take a look at what's on the screen right now. Now, it's totally shocking that this fact check came 8 years essentially after the actual event, but I guess better late than never. The point that I'm trying to make is that the Democrats keep using their same old tactics. They keep repeating the same thing over and over again, and now they're overstepping their boundaries and they're getting themselves caught out. Trump absolutely wins the day with that moment. Leftoids are getting fact-checked left, right, and center on CNN. It feels almost nostalgic, and I'm totally here for it. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.